Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Misty Morrison Podcast. I'm your host, Misty Morrison, and this is episode 35 of Was I in the Wrong? On the Misty Morrison Podcast, we love to judge, we love to give advice, we love all the petty drama. But before we get into our stories for today, our usual housekeeping, whether you are new or returning, I'm going to say this every single time because it really does make such a big difference. Please remember to engage with the content. No matter where you are enjoying the content, whether you are watching or listening, rate, review, like, subscribe, share, comment, anything helps. All right, on to our stories for today. Story number 1 is coming to us from r/am I overreacting? AIO, my boyfriend told me I'm not wife material because I don't cook like his mom. Okay. So I, female 27, was making dinner for my boyfriend, male 29, last night. It wasn't anything fancy, just pasta with homemade sauce, salad, garlic bread. Sounds delicious. Halfway through the meal, he says, "This is good, but you'll never be wife material until you can cook like my mom." Unattainable standards. I literally froze. I asked what that meant, and he doubled down, saying, "Well, she cooks everything from scratch, 3 courses, homemade dessert, it's just different." I told him it was rude to compare me to his mom, and that if he wanted her food, he should go eat at her place. Now he's mad, saying I overreacted, and that he was just being honest about standards. I genuinely feel disrespected. Am I overreacting for thinking that was completely inappropriate to say to someone you supposedly love? OP, I appreciate that at the end there you said supposedly love. Your boyfriend will never be happy in a relationship as long as he continues to compare people to mom. No one is ever going to equal mom. Mom was your first everything. She was the first person who cooked for you, who made you dessert. For most people, someone who is equal to mom is an unattainable standard. Even you're always going to be different than mom. Like you might cook as good as her, but it'll always be different. If he is wanting something that someone who can do things just like mom, he wants something that doesn't exist. He will always be disappointed. Everyone he ever loves will always fall short. You're not overreacting. Don't let him gaslight you. You didn't overreact. What did you say? Yeah, you said it was rude to compare you, and it is. Comparing people to others is never fair. It's never going to work out well because you're not her. And you said if he wanted her food, he should go eat at her place. And that is a 100% accurate statement. If that's what you want, go get it. You still can. You're not going to get that here. You are not overreacting. It wasn't appropriate to say it was hurtful. Yeah, you're right. He's wrong. Yeah, he sucks. Story number 2 is coming to us from r/AITA-style. My 31 female friend has asked me to come to Japan with her in October, and my boyfriend, 37 male, is saying it's unfair if he can't go, and I want to know if I would be the bad guy if I decided to go, and would I be selfish if I did go? I, 33 female, have been asked to come to Japan for a week with one of my female friends, and after telling my boyfriend, 37, he is saying it's unfair as he's not invited and won't be able to afford to go. Should I feel bad about wanting to go, or should I stay behind? No, don't feel bad. Boyfriend's being selfish. But I'll continue reading. Context. Last year, 2024, I paid for 95% of a trip from both my boyfriend and I to go to Japan for 2 weeks. I paid for flights, accommodation, train travel, food, and activities, and he covered only the things he bought there, 5%. I had always wanted to go to Japan, and in going, it had us both wanting to go back. This was also his first trip out of our country. Earlier this year, my friend asked me to come to Japan with her for a week, and I was excited, but said it would come down to if I could afford it, and I'd let her know. She booked her flights and accommodation. Well, she asked me again last week, and I can't afford to go myself. I told my boyfriend, and he got angry and said it was unfair that I get to go and he can't. And he also wouldn't be able to afford to, and I can't afford to bring us both. I really want to go, but also I'm feeling guilty that I am, in his words, being selfish if I go on the girls' trip without him. Reddit, would I be the butthole and selfish if I went? No, OP. Your boyfriend has completely flipped the script here. You're not being selfish, he is. You guys knew about this well in advance, and it came down to the time where the question came back up and you had to decide. If he wanted to go that bad, he should have saved. It is not your responsibility to afford a trip for him. You're not married. You're just dating. Besides that, it's a girl's trip. He's not supposed to go. You were invited, not him. It would be different if you were planning a trip and just you were like, I don't want to spend money on him, or just, I don't want him to go with me. That's different if this was your trip, but it's not your trip. This is your friend's trip, and she asked you to go with her. He's not meant to go. You're not being selfish. It's not an option of it's either her and you, or her alone, or her and you and him. He's not invited. It's not your trip, and you can't invite somebody else on someone else's trip. That's rude. He's not invited. He can't afford to go. You're not being selfish. It's not like you are taking something away from him. You're just not giving him something that isn't yours to give. Go on the trip and enjoy it. And your boyfriend can either sulk about it and be mad, or he can grow up. You are right to go. Your boyfriend's being a baby. There is a gold box comment and a gold box reply first thing on this post. The gold box comment says, your boyfriend never even paid you back for the trip to Japan you took him on already. Go with your friend and notice the difference in traveling with someone who also thinks of you and is actually splitting the costs, and rethink your leech boyfriend. NTA. My only issue with that comment is OP never made clear if he was supposed to pay her back or not. It kind of just sounds like you went with the understanding that you were paying for pretty much everything. There, nothing was mentioned about a repayment plan, so that's not super valid to me. The gold box reply to that comment is, as a poor bastard who can't ever travel, I wouldn't even dream of preventing someone else from traveling, especially if my partner had already been so gracious to fund one journey. He should be glad what he got and let his girlfriend go without acting like an entitled ass. Yes, that one. He's acting entitled. And I mean, I too have not been blessed in my adult life to be able to afford travel. I want to. I'm not there right now. But I would never begrudge anyone else's good fortune. I would never want to stop someone else from enjoying life. I would be so happy for my people if they got the opportunity to go travel. Yes, travel, live it up, enjoy it, bring back pictures, tell me all about it. But I'm happy for others who are able to do that. And if he loved his girlfriend, he would be happy that she is getting another opportunity to go back to Japan, knowing how much she loved it. Okay. Story number 3 is coming to us from r/AITA_relationships. AITAH for telling my wife I need to focus on me. I, 50 male, have known my wife, 50 female, since the 10th grade, and we have been married for over 21 years. We were good friends in high school, and I had a huge crush on her. After high school, we had a brief moment when we were 20, but it didn't grow into anything and we drifted apart. Fast forward to age 26 and we reconnected, although she was engaged at the time. We almost immediately started dating. She broke off her engagement and we were married 3 years later. At the start of our marriage, I told my wife that the job comes before everything, because without the job, there is no house, no cars, no security, no family. She accepted my role as a primary breadwinner, and she also worked full-time. But 3 months after our wedding, she learned she was pregnant and was eventually put on bed rest due to complications during pregnancy. Our son was born in 2005, and she returned to work a few months later. In 2006, I started a business which occupied 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for several years. But we made efforts to spend whatever little free time I had together. When our son was 5, my wife stopped working altogether and she became a stay-at-home mom while I continued to build my business. We both took an active role in child rearing, volunteering in his school and on his sports teams, but I was the sole financial provider for the family. Over the last 15 years, my wife has never had to want for anything. As my business grew and became more profitable, we took routine international vacations. She always drove a luxury brand convertible. She always had multiple pairs of luxury glasses and handbags. She was showered with tens of thousands of dollars jewelry, and she had several cosmetic surgery procedures at her request. I provided all this to her because I only wanted her to be happy and want for nothing, as I had always been taught, do unto others as you would do unto yourself, for those you love. As I focused on the growth and success of my business over the past 2 decades, the thing I didn't neglect was my personal health. While I am 6'3" tall on a large frame, my weight ballooned to over 360 pounds in my mid-30s. I have attempted to focus on my fitness several times over the past decade, but regardless of my success, I always ended up back in the mid-300s. Recently, I have been able to sell my business for a favorable sum that has allowed me to pay off every debt, homes, cars, and even student loans. I finally have the time and resources to focus on my personal health and happiness. And over the past 2 months, I have started a rigorous training and diet plan, walking 10 miles a day and keeping my daily calorie intake below 2,500 calories. My wife and I have been physically separated for some of this time, not relationship related, and I make huge gains toward my physical goals when she was not around. However, when she is around, she refuses to participate in my fitness journey, sleeps 10 plus hours a day, cooks rather unhealthy food, requires me to walk our 10-month-old puppy, which does not equate to quality miles, and is an overall hindrance to my fitness goals. I have not asked my wife to participate or even assist in my fitness journey. I have learned over the years that she will not participate in such activities unless they are 100% on her terms. But I feel she is actively working to stifle my goals. Yesterday was the apex when she was lounging on the couch for several hours. I had already completed my morning 5-mile walk and was preparing for my late afternoon 5-mile walk when she asked me to take the dog, which she knew I did not want to do as our puppy is still learning loose leash walking and can be very difficult. I gave in and took the dog, but after less than half mile, I had to call my wife and request she come get the dog. The puppy was just being too uncooperative to even walk. After she picked up the dog, I texted my wife the following. You texted her. Okay. For the past 32 years, I have dedicated nearly every waking hour of my life ensuring that every single person in my life was taken care of, regardless of how this wrecked me physically. For the past 15 plus years, you have had the luxury of not working and taking whatever steps you personally wanted in your life with my full support and backing. The only thing I've ever wanted to do in life beyond take care of those I care about is to have the ability to focus on my personal physical well-being. I don't know how many times I have told you that if we were ever wealthy, I would have a personal chef, nutritionist, personal trainer, and focus exclusively on being the best version of myself possible. Well, we will never achieve that level of wealth. But with the sale of my company and our recent modicum of financial freedom, I finally thought I'd have an opportunity to focus on me, if even for a short period, to get me to a maintenance level that I'm happy with. I haven't asked you to prep meals or even modify anything in your life to help me reach my fitness goal. I know after years of making these types of requests, it is unfair to ask this of you, as you do not want to follow the same path. But I can't even get you to walk the effing dog so that I can focus on my health. So I can maybe someday buy clothes from the effing store instead of having to order them custom. So I cannot be ashamed of taking my shirt off in public or in front of you. Please, I'm not asking for your help. Just please stop being a hindrance and let me focus on me for once. When I got home from my 5-mile walk, she said nothing about the text, didn't even mention receipt of the text. It has now been 24 hours, and she still has said nothing. It's as if my plea has landed on deaf ears. AITA aides for telling my wife I need to focus on me? And should I push her to engage with me regarding my feelings that she doesn't care about my attempts to improve myself? Mainly for her. Ugh. This is a mess. This is a very, very sticky, slimy mess. You're both wrong, and she is more wrong than you. But the reason you're both wrong is because you both suck at communication. You unloaded this emotional baggage that you have carried around for years onto her in a text message. Really? Rude. Not productive. I don't know what you were thinking. And also, you maybe put a lot more on her than you should have, because, everything that you've said is like your intention was to be the breadwinner. You were going to be like this head of your household. You were going to take care of everything. And that was your choice that you made. And now you're saying you're basically blaming her for all the hard work that you have done over the years. Was that what she wanted too? Did you ever ask her if she would rather spend time together or if she would rather you work 16-hour days, 7 days a week? Maybe that's not what you wanted. I feel like there's been so many times throughout history we've seen people sacrifice their relationships for work, thinking that that was the number one priority to be able to provide. But if you're not providing emotionally as well, how much is that money worth that you're spending all your time earning? I think that was a conversation that needed to come first to see if you guys were on the same page with all of that. And it doesn't seem like that happened. Is she lounging on the couch all day and sleeping 10 hours because she's depressed? Did you ever ask her? You're not wrong to want her to walk the dog. She knows what your goals are. And she knows that taking a puppy on a walk that you want to be productive, it's not compatible. Yes, she's wrong. She should be walking the dog. That's the bare minimum. The bare minimum is to be supportive and not to get in your way. I get that. She's getting in your way. But saying it in a text and not giving her the opportunity to respond in the moment, to have a conversation, you didn't give her that opportunity. Sending a text is where you went wrong. If you swore at her, that's also wrong. Don't do that. And also, why is she ashamed of your body? Why are you just now saying, because you're making it sound like this is the first time you're saying that you are ashamed of yourself in front of her? And now you're also you're saying that you worked so hard all these years to take care of her. You're saying that your attempts to improve yourself now are mainly for her. You are putting all of the pressure for every decision that you have independently made on her. And I don't think you know if she ever wanted any of that. I think your view on this is pretty skewed. And I don't like how one-sided this is. You're not wrong for wanting to reach these physical goals. You're not wrong for wanting a partner who supports you instead of hinders you. You're not wrong for that. But you are wrong for the way in which you've gone about this. She's also wrong for being a hindrance, for knowing what your goals are and not trying to help you. So I'm going to call this one a mess because it really is a mess. And I don't think you're going to get any kind of response from her until you sit down and try to have an actual conversation and figure out where you guys even stand. Because I don't think you know. Yeah. This one's a mess. And actually, this one it was only 2 hours old. It didn't have any upvotes. It has a few comments. And most people here are saying OP is the asshole. Some are saying mildly. Yeah, most people are saying the asshole. And some are saying everybody sucks here. So, yeah, they're both wrong, so it's a mess. All right. Where are we at? Story number 4 is coming to us from r/AITAH. I was rear-ended by a teenager whose parents want to settle privately. I prefer to go through insurance, but my coworkers are telling me I'm being obstinate at the expense of this kid. AITA. Yesterday, just from the title, I already have strong opinions about this, but we're going to read it. Yesterday on the highway, I was rear-ended by a young kid, probably 16 or 17 years old. The accident was entirely his fault. His car was totaled. Mine appears to only have cosmetic damage of a caved-in bumper, warped side paneling on the passenger side, and a hole in the bumper. We exchanged info. I called in the claim to his insurance and started the process when the kid started texting me asking if I'm willing to settle without insurance since he is a young guy and is afraid his insurance rates are about to skyrocket. I would prefer not to go that route as I can think of too many possibilities for disputes I really don't feel like dealing with. What if the damage is more than cosmetic? What if I need a rental, etc.? When recounting the situation with coworkers this morning, the overwhelming consensus was that I am being obstinate for no reason, at the expense of this kid. They argued since the damage to my car is likely just cosmetic, it would be beneficial for both parties if I settled it privately, which would likely provide me more money than through insurance and save the kid a few years of increased insurance rates. They suggested I get a couple estimates before deciding if I want to go through insurance or settle privately. I again held the line that I have no desire to handle it on my own. I was always told that best practice dictated never to settle privately, and I held firm on that. My coworkers maintain I'm being a jerk. Are there circumstances in which I shouldn't go through insurance, or am I avoiding unnecessary risk correctly? Since I recognize location matters quite a bit, this occurred in Oregon. Edit. I appreciate the replies, everyone. This is my first accident. Been driving for 25 years. So insurance has been something I pay for but never given a second thought until today. As suggested, I'm going to let the claim process and ignore my coworkers on this one. Yes, I'm glad you got good advice, OP. That is also what I was going to say. You are not being a jerk. You're right. Your coworkers are being weird, actually. You're not being obstinate. You're being sensible. Let's see. What did you say? Am I avoiding unnecessary risk correctly? Yes. That is the purpose of getting a police report and going through insurance. The first thing that came to my mind when I read the title was, what if he decides not to pay? Like, what if they say, yes, we're going to cover it, and then they don't? I say they because 16 or 17 is also the parents. I don't trust people. And so I definitely don't trust that someone is going to handle things 100% correctly when, they could do things a different way and benefit themselves more. Yeah, I would never agree to settle privately, having been through former situations. Okay, so there's one time I dropped my car off to get, sensors replaced. And I went back that day, and it was missing a piece of trim on a rear quarter panel on the driver's side. I walked past my car and I'm like, what happened? She came to get something on the inside fixed and now there's something broken on the outside. What happened to my car? Well, so somebody, and I was just, shock, panic, inexperience. Looking back, I would have done things so differently. So, they told me what happened. They're like, someone else pulled into the lot and they were in a new big truck on their phone, and they weren't paying attention and they sideswiped your car. But they already, we already ordered the replacement part. They paid for the part, they paid for labor. Everything's covered. Before I ever knew what happened, no one called me to tell me what happened. I just went to pick up my car and I couldn't pick up my car. He just hurried up as a person who has big money. And so they just hurried up and paid for everything, hoping it would go away because they didn't want their insurance rates to go up. And understandable, insurance is expensive enough. But after, several days of taking the car back, got the replacement part put on, they patched the paint. It was not a perfect job that was done fixing the damage. I can still see it. I can still see where the paint is not perfect. And probably had I gone through insurance, one, he would have suffered. And thinking back, I want him to have suffered because what he did was stupid. Completely avoidable. But also had I filed a police report, gotten the security camera footage, went through insurance, it probably would have replaced, I think it was the rear quarter panel and the bumper that would have had to been replaced just because you couldn't make the white paint match. Yeah, is that petty? Probably. But also, if you're not going to pay attention and you're going to screw up, you deserve to get in trouble for it. And it's not even really trouble. You just would have had higher insurance rates for your fancy new truck that you apparently don't know how big it is. I think forcing it through insurance is the safest route for you. And also, if this is the kid's first accident, it teaches them you can't just get away with something by offering money. You have to be fully accountable for it. Yes, don't trust people, because if I could go back and change my situation, I would have filed a report and gone through insurance to make sure that everything was fixed properly, regardless of how that affected the other person, because how it affects them is not my responsibility. It was their responsibility to drive correctly and not damage other people's vehicles. What happens after that? Yeah. Okay. So, you are not the asshole. You're right. Stick to your guns. All right, that is 4 stories for this week's episode of Was I in the Wrong? Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next time for another episode of the Misty Morrison Podcast. Bye.